And more on growth. Do you advocate Moscow's accelerated growth? If so, where will the water come from to supplement our rapidly shrinking aquifer? What costs will be passed on to the citizens? Do you advocate Moscow's accelerated growth? If so, where will the water come from to supplement our rapidly shrinking aquifer? What costs will be passed on to the citizens?
Well, I certainly advocate for growth, but it's been slow and steady as I articulated. If we grow rapidly and we haven't made provisions for a sustainable water supply, we all lose. We not only lose socially, but we lose economically and environmentally as well. So Moscow actually, at my initiative, is looking at the idea of a reservoir or series of reservoirs that could capture surface water and could augment or even replace our existing water supply. Do I advocate for growth? Yes. I think that the incremental growth that we have seen, perhaps a little bit escalated in rate over what we've had, but it can be accommodated. But I also think it needs to be thoughtful and proactive and collaborative so that we can provide resources that will allow water supply for all of our communities within the Palouse Basin.
Whoever asks that question, I'll tell them this: we are not going to have accelerated growth rate in Moscow, Idaho. It's not going to happen. We grow at less than 1% a year now. If we got to 2%, if we were able to get to 2%, I think that's probably about the maximum growth rate we're going to get in a year. And you can figure those numbers out for yourself, folks. That's about 450 people a year. So figure that over a decade. 4,500. It's not that big a deal, but 2% growth is something that is very sustainable for us. You know, we talked about, when I was on council, we had a fund set up for looking into doing a reservoir. We also have the Snake River, not too far from us. There's all kinds of water sources that we can investigate, probably grants out there available for us to get that would take care of the water issues we have. But folks, we are not going to accelerate growth here. We do not have an interstate here, an I-84 or an I-90, but we do need to grow, there's no doubt about that. But the accelerated growth, we're not going to see that here in Moscow, folks.
Yeah, I think some more growth is a good thing. Accelerated, I'm not sure we have an accelerator on which to put our foot. So we do what we can, but any growth, I think, benefits the community. Where the water's coming from, there's options. Conservation has been doing very well. The water department has provided lots of suggestions to people about how to xeriscape, minimize their water use. And in fact, we're using less per capita now than we have in, I don't know, ages and ages, a long time. But you can't conserve yourself into more water either. So we do need to look into the aspect of putting in catch ponds within town to take some of the pressure off of the aquifer, potentially establish a reservoir up on the mountain, which is going to cost considerable in infrastructure, but that too would help pull some of the pressure off of the aquifer. Not altogether, but it could sure buy us a lot of time. And sticking a straw into the Snake or Clearwater River would cost a fairly phenomenal amount of money, I think, not to mention the problems with water rights.
I guess I'd have to say pretty much what these folks have said, which is I think the key word there is accelerated, and that's not really what any of us is looking for. We might have, 10 years ago we might have done something else, but I think now all of us are more considerate of our environment and what it takes to sustain our community and the things and to protect our precious resources. So I think that, just kind of going with everybody else and saying accelerated growth is not what we're looking for. Some incremental or increased to what we've had, I think that sounds more reasonable.
Yeah, I agree with everybody else regarding the rapid accelerated growth part of the question. No one up here is either advocating that or believing it's going to happen. We haven't run out of water. We don't know that we're running out of water. We know the water table is declining. It declined, the upper aquifer really declined when well 9 went down for about 6 months last year because we were pulling so much more out of the upper aquifer. It came back up as we took the pressure off of it. We now believe that there's a little bit of recharge in the lower aquifer. Possibly not very much, but we think we found a connection between the surface and the lower aquifer, possibly over by Pullman. The idea of putting a reservoir up on Moscow Mountain The county commission couldn't agree to put a 100 by 100-foot cell phone tower pad up on that mountain. How in the world did you ever expect them to agree to put a 10-mile by 10-mile lake up there on top of Bennett's timber?
Moving along. The growth issue, I think, was discussed by everyone. I agree. The water issue is something else, and we do pull our water from the same place Coleman pulls its water. And so it appears to me that all that we do to save, and we save a tremendous amount of water in this town, just gets pulled out by Coleman. And I think what we need to do is, if we could get some sort of an agreement from those people to maybe use less, have a tiered rate system, any number of things, but us saving water and them using more does not seem to be working very well, in my opinion. I think we could maybe change that, because all it's going to do is cost the citizens of Moscow an inordinate amount of money, and the citizens of Pullman are just going to keep on going their merry way.
Thank you. Question again for all candidates is